Hi, friends and dear children. Today I'm going to explain a poem, the famous poem, extraordinary poem, which was written by Rabindranath Tagore. It is the poem with the title Where the Mind is Without Fear. So before going to the poem, let us move on to the about the poet. So we are better know a few things about Rabindranath Tagore. In this excerpt, we come to know what he is. So Rabindranath Tagore is one of the best known Indian writers who wrote both in his mother tongue, Bangla, and in English. He was a poet, playwright, novelist, painter, educator, and musician. He translated a collection of his poems, Gitanjali, which was published in 1912. In 1913, he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Literature. He is the author of the Indian National Anthem as well as the National Anthem of Bangladesh. So this is what about Rabindranath Tagore. Okay friends, now let's get into the poem with the title Where the Mind is Without Fear. First I'll render the poem and later I'll explain. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. Where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where words come out from the depth of truth. Where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Where words come out from the depth of truth. Where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dirty desert sand of dead habit. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dirty desert sand of dead habit. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom, my Father, let my country awake. So this is a poem, beautiful poem, written by Rabindranath Tagore. It is a poem, wonderful poem. It is, and it's been a very much inspirational poem. Actually, we should know that this is a poem written at the time of pre-independence era. At the time our country was under the rule of Britishers and there was no freedom at all. People are living in fear. No proper rights are for them. They were all living with a lot of prejudices and blind faiths and superstitions in other way. As they were under the rule of Britishers, no freedom at all. People are living with a lot of fear in their minds. No freedom at all at the time. That was the time Rabindranath Tagore has written this poem here. Actually, as the poet is very much believed in God, this poem is written in the form of a prayer to the Almighty God. So the poet prays to God, aspiring how his country will be. So he desires his country to become free from the clutches of British rule, and also he desires his people of his country to be very free out of so many prejudices, superstitions and blind faiths which all prevailed in the society at the time. So country was the people were with full of superstitions, blind faiths and prejudices which were prevailed in the society in those days at the time of pre-independence era. So that's the reason here Rabindranath Tagore addresses all these things. So this poem has been beautifully knit, especially focusing how the country should be, how the people should live, and how the people should be progressed and developed and improved in their standard of living. So this is what he has beautifully explained this poem, where the mind is without fear. Where the mind is without fear and the head is held high. In this stanza, poet says that, he says that, where the mind is without fear, actually he desires the society of India to be free at the time. But actually as it was under the rule of Britishers, people are living with a lot of fear, no freedom at all. So that's why here he aspires, he desires his country to be free. He desires his people to live freely, not being under the clutches of Britishers' rule. That's what he explains. And also he says, where the head is held high, where the man freely can hold his head so high, where he can live with the freedom of expression, with the freedom of thought. That is that sort of a country, that sort of people the poet wants to be in this country at the time. Where knowledge is free, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where knowledge is free, where knowledge is free which means here, despite all the despite caste, religion, and area division, and all, keeping all these things aside, and despite all the superstitions and blind beliefs and blind faiths, knowledge should be provided for each and every individual in the society. That's what the intention of the poet expressed through these lines here. Knowledge should be free. Knowledge should be free for every individual in the society. Every individual freely is permitted to learn, to acquire knowledge. So there should not be any discrimination in the form of caste, religion, and area division and all. That's what the intention of the poet expressed through these lines here. And also he says, where the world has not been broken up into fragments by narrow domestic walls. Where the world has not been broken up into fragments, where the world is not divided into small groups. There should not be division. People should not be divided into small groups like narrow domestic walls. This is a metaphor actually he has used here. A beautiful imagery he has used here, narrow domestic walls. The people should not be divided into small groups with their mindset of narrow things. They should not be, they should have a broad thinking minds. Their thoughts should not be narrowed. They should not have the narrow thinkings. That's what he says here. People should not be divided into small groups. They should not be separated into small groups. That's what he explains through these lines. Where words come out from the depth of truth, such an image he has used here. Where words come out from the depth of truth, words should be words should come out from the depth of truth. The truth should be established in the society. People in those days, in poet's opinion, people are living with full of lies. They are lying one to another. So people should not tell lies. They should be very frank, they should be very fair enough in their thoughts and in their sharing of views with other people. That's what he feels here. Where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Where tireless striving stretches its arms towards perfection. Tireless striving. The efforts of the people, the efforts of the society should be stretching its arms towards perfection. There should be a perfection in each and everybody's actions, efforts, and they should strive so hard until they get perfection in their missions, in their achievements, in their goals, in their objectives. That's what here poet expresses his thought. Where the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit, he says. Where the clear stream of reason should be there. People should live with reason rather than living with superstitions and blind faith, he says. People should be logical. People's thinking should be logical. They should live with logic. They should live with reason rather than blind faiths, blind beliefs, and superstitions. That's what poet wants to say here. And people should be rational in their thinking. People should be logical in their thinking. People should not be logical in their thinking. So they should live reasonably. They should live with their correct reason, correct rationality. They should not live with superstitions and blind beliefs. That's what he says. So people of his country should be rational and reasonable in their living. That's what here poet wants to say. And he says that the clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert sand of dead habit. The thought process of the people should be cleared like a clear stream. How the stream is, how much clarity is, how transparent the stream is. In such a way, a stream, if suddenly that particular stream ends in the desert, what is the use of that? So here stream has been compared to reason here. So stream of reason, a beautiful metaphor has been used here. The reason, a clear stream of reason has not lost its way into the dreary desert and of dead habit. So people should live with a reason. People should live with a logic. So it should not be wasted. It should be meaningful. The living style of the people should be meaningful. That's what he portrays here. Where the mind is led forward by thee into ever widening thought and action, and where the mind is led forward by thee, here the thee, in the sense thee is Almighty God. So poet Rabindranath Tagore addresses Almighty God. That's why here thee in the sense, oh my God, my Almighty. Likewise, he is addressing with this line. So where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action. Ever-widening thought. Every time the thoughts of the people should be widened. The thoughts of the people should be broad. People should live with their broad minds. Always their thought process should be widened. Always their thought process should be broad, and their actions also should be broad enough. That's what he feels here. Into that heaven of freedom, my father let my country awake. Into that sort of freedom, heaven of freedom. What is a heaven of freedom here? So poet desires India to be free. India should become independent country. So he desires India to be free, and India should become an independent country at that time. Not only India here, all the people who are living in that society should also be free from their prejudices and superstitions and blind faiths also. That sort of country, the country which is without any sort of superstitions, blind faiths and prejudices among the people, that country is called a heaven of freedom. that country is an independent country. That's what here Rabindranath Tagore, into that sort of heaven of freedom. My father, let my country awake. My country should wake up into that sort of heaven of freedom. My country should become an independent country, a country with freedom, and my people also should be free from all their prejudices, superstitions, and blind faiths into that sort of heaven of freedom. O my Father Almighty, O my God, God, my Father, let my country awake into that sort of heaven of freedom. Likewise here, poet praise to God. So this is what the poem written by Rabindranath Tagore. So at the time of pre-independence era, so what a poet desired, his complete desire, he has expressed beautifully using beautiful metaphors and extraordinary imageries in this poem. So it is one of the fabulous poems of Rabindranath Tagore written, and it has given a lot of inspiration to the people of India at the time of independence, pre-independence era. Okay, friends, I hope you all understood well this poem of Rabindranath Tagore in my explanation. So, if you like my explanation here, so please subscribe my channel, Chittalur ESN. I am your English facilitator working at NDTSMS, Nalgonda district. Thank you, one and all. Have a nice day.